Ed Orgeron met with the media today and previewed spring practice. Defending champs on the practice field on Saturday, and there are going to be a lot of changes. We've noted this quite often. LSU had 16 players invited to the combine. We could see as many as 6 LSU players taken in round 1. Tigers just put together the most dominant season in the history of college football. And they have to replace a ton. The reality on the flip side is you got a lot of really nice pieces. You're going to have a veteran right tackle in Austin Deculus, a man-child in Ed Ingram on the offensive line. You're going to return the Biletnikoff Award winner, a former 5-star in Terrace Marshall, Racy McMath. Eric Gilbert is going to be there as your tight end, replacing Thad Moss. When you look at Emory and Ty Davis-Price and Chris Curry, you got 3 really good running backs. On the defensive side of the ball, Tyler Shelvin, Apu Ika, Glenn Logan. I mean, you start running, Neil Farrell, guys like Damone Clark. Oh, by the way, Jacoby Stevens is back. Todd Harris is back coming off of injury. And you still got Derek Stingley, who was an All-American and the best defensive back in college football this past year. There are so many really good pieces to start building this, this roster. But you got a lot of questions as well, and significant ones that need to be answered. But part of the benefit of spring, obviously, is having the opportunity to start getting some of the answers to those. There are 2 position groups in particular that are obviously the most critical. On offense, it's the offensive line. On defense, it's linebacker. This is not even a question. At linebacker, you lose your top 3 contributors from a year ago with Patrick Queen leaving early, Jacob Phillips, who had 113 tackles a year ago, and then Michael Divinity, who only played in 6 games, obviously because of his suspension, but was such a key cog to what you did both inside and out. And you lose Caleb Von Chasson, if you want to count him sort of as an edge rusher or as a linebacker, however you want to say it. Like, you just had a mass exodus at that position. And on the offensive line, you lose 4 of your top 6 guys. You need options there. And we know how they're going to start to plug some of those gaps. Ed Orgeron announced that Devontae Lee is moving from wide receiver to linebacker. 6'1", 223, big kid, likes him sort of in the Jacoby Stevens hybrid role. Cool. I could be down with that. Something else they're going to do, 13 please, is they're going to move Marcel Brooks to inside linebacker.
I think he's doing fine. Now, he's got to learn the defense. He was playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. Little undersized. He's about 205 pounds right now. We want him to get to 215. We didn't have any linebackers. We had no choice but to put him in linebacker, and he's done phenomenal. As you all know, he's very fast, and once he catches onto the scheme, I think he's going to be an excellent linebacker.
We didn't have any linebackers. We had no choice. Like, look at how they're piecing this together. You've got Damone Clark, who had 50 tackles a year ago. You have Micah Baskerville, who had 15. But around them, you need options. So you're moving Devontae Lee from receiver to linebacker. And it's going to be, my guess is, a lot of see-ball, hit-ball. You're moving Marcel Brooks inside at 205 pounds, by the way. Would somebody please get that kid to Pluckers? Shove 100 wings down his throat a day, every day until football season. Anyway, you need options over there. And Ed Orgeron did not rule out the possibility of adding a grad transfer.
We're going to be more of an attacking, downhill, blitzing the linebackers. You'll see more of that than you did before. It's going to be too high, so they're going to be involved in coverage. I mean, those guys are going to have to carry the tight end and take somebody to the flat, so they're going to be more multiple. You'll see them on the line of scrimmage blitzing. Bo has almost every blitz in the world. He's very good at it. And we are looking at the best players available, and obviously that spot we need help. So if there is a graduate transfer at that spot, we would take it.
You had 3 spots open in this class, remember. It was a similar situation a couple of years ago, and they added, of course, Joe Burrow, Cole Tracy, but remember they added Terrence Alexander as well. Tigers needed numbers at cornerback, and they went and got Terrence Alexander as a grad transfer from Stanford. There might be an opportunity similar. And listen, when you hear Ed Orgeron say in a press conference, we'd be looking, and if there's a grad transfer available, we're going to go shop that market, and we would take a grad transfer. That's a public service announcement. Like, that's an advertisement to all linebackers in college football. Hey, if you're buried on a depth chart or you're not pumped where you are, or you want to come play in the SEC, holla. I mean, that's essentially what he's doing there. And I don't blame him, because if you can add a veteran guy that can give you meaningful snaps at a position where you're going to have a lot of guys playing that position for the first time, you do it. On the flip side, offensive line, of course, LSU, as we mentioned, you're replacing 4 of 6 starters. Orgeron mentioned that Dare Rosenthal is not with the team. He's not enrolled in school. Now, remember, Rosenthal started at left tackle last year for the games when Sadiq Charles was suspended. So you had Rosenthal in there against Northwestern State and Utah State. And later in the season, Adrian McGee got a start at left tackle. But this is an opportunity. This would have been an opportunity for Rosenthal to take that step. The most important part of spring is for guys who are having the opportunity to start for the first time, to feel what it's like to run with the first team, to be there in first team reps, and to know you're playing for keeps now. Like, if you go into a spring knowing you're a backup behind an All-American, well, you know you can pace yourself and you got time. But if you're fighting for a job, and whenever the lights are on in September in Tiger Stadium and you're playing for keeps and they're counting on you, you have a different sense of urgency when it's you being counted on for the first time. And sometimes guys emerge. I mentioned Lloyd Cushenberry 2 years ago. We all assumed Garrett Brumfield was going to kick in and play center. Cushenberry got a shot in spring and said, it's my job. Took it and never relinquished it for 2 years. So this would have been an opportunity for Dare Rosenthal, and I think that's a big loss, not having him here for spring for these practices to get those reps at left tackle. So it'll be Cam Wire taking the reps at left tackle for LSU in spring. The other guy that obviously is going to have a huge opportunity is Myles Brennan. Play 18, please. This was Ed Orgeron on what he has seen from Myles Brennan from the end of the season to now.
When you back up to the Heisman winner, you got to keep your mouth shut. That's what you do. He's led this team in the 4-quarter program. He's competed at every rep, just like Joe did, to win every rep. I'm not going to say he won every rep, but I watch him compete to win every rep. I see him be more vocal at the end, like we go 8 stations. On the 8th station, we put up the pause. He's the one doing it. I've heard him talk to guys that when we had to go back, come on, man, get this done. So he's been more of a vocal leader. I've seen him in the office watching more film than he ever has. I know this. I know the Brennan family very well. They've been very patient, and they've been waiting for this time. I expect Myles to explode, and I expect him to do all the things that he needs to do to be a great quarterback. And whatever deficiencies he has, like we all have, I know that he and his family are going to work on. And what I mean by that is more experience, working on his throwing motion, going to quarterback gurus, camps, or whatever it may be. I know that this guy's dedicated to do that, and I think we're going to have us one heck of a player. I've always believed in Myles. I believe he's a championship quarterback, and I believe he's going to be great for us.
Ed Orgeron talking about Myles Brennan, his progression. If they can get full and total buy-in to football from Myles Brennan, then I agree with everything Ed Orgeron just said there. The reality is, and this hasn't needed to be part of the conversation with Brennan because he, as Ed said, he's behind the Heisman Trophy winner. He wasn't going to play. Myles Brennan likes to do a lot of things other than football. You heard Steve Ensminger say before the national championship game, Myles Brennan loves to hunt. He loves to fish. He loves to do outdoor activities. Cool. That's awesome. It's great to have a balanced life. What LSU needs is for the next year and a half of Myles Brennan's life for him to live, eat, breathe, sleep LSU football. Commit the next year and a half of your life to making LSU football and being the starting quarterback at LSU the number one priority in your life. Completely buy in for the next year and a half. And you will have immense opportunities to set yourself up forever to be an NFL quarterback and make generational money and do it, be a legend at LSU and all the things that go along with it. Look at Rohan Davey. Rohan hadn't played at LSU in 20 years. And every Tuesday he comes in here during the season and BS's with me, because people revere Rohan Davey because of what he did when he was a quarterback at LSU. And he can go into any business meeting in town and have doors open because he's Rohan Davey. And he won the Sugar Bowl and threw for 500 yards against Alabama and all. Like, that's the opportunity that's there for Myles Brennan over the next year and a half, if he completely buys in. And I think that's what they're trying to get from Brennan at this point. Now, the other thing that was interesting, what Orgeron said, was about the reps and how the quarterback reps are going to be divided this spring.
Well, it's going to be Steve. Steve's going to get it done. Myles is going to be the first team quarterback, and the two young quarterbacks going to snaps on the second team. And that's how we're going to do it. Myles is going to take all the first team reps in the spring, unless somebody else beats him up.
You know what's really interesting? Two things. Number one, that ends any potential conversation about a controversy or quarterback competition. If you're giving all of your first-team reps to one guy, that answers your question. 2 years ago, before Joe Burrow got to campus, remember they went through spring and they had Myles Brennan, and they had Justin McMillan, and they had Lowell Narcisse. And those guys rotated a ton, getting them all reps to see if anybody emerged. This is all first-team reps going to Myles Brennan. It's like there is no question. They recognize the opportunity at hand and the need to get Myles up to speed. But the reality is LSU did seek a transfer this offseason. They were interested in De'Aaron King. They were interested in the kid from Wake Forest who picked Georgia. And they missed on those guys. So now what you have is a fourth-year player in Myles Brennan who you feel like has a high ceiling if he reaches it. And then you got Peter Parrish and two freshmen. And those are your options right now at quarterback. So I agree that the smart play is push all your chips to the center with Myles Brennan. And if something happens in spring where you're thinking maybe this isn't the path or we need another option, then do what you do with Burrow. Wait until after spring and play the transfer market again if something shakes. If. Or maybe with Myles, you have the same situation you have with a guy like Lloyd Cushenberry, where he went through spring and you went, oh, it's a different kid. It's his turn now, and he knows it, and there's a completely different level of production, of buy-in, of leadership, of all that stuff, and you roll. This is going to be an interesting spring for that. Again, I don't care about a spring game. I'll never be interested in a spring game. It's an exhibition. I just don't care. But these practices and what these coaches learn about their players who now they have to count on, the unknowns that are going to answer questions, it's critical. And for LSU this year, certainly it is at linebacker, on the offensive line, and at the most important position on the field, quarterback.